Today we're looking at phrasal verbs with turn. So most of the phrasal verbs with turn have many different meanings. Turn back, you can turn the clocks back 1 hour. Unfortunately we do this in England. We turn the clocks back and we turn the clocks forward every year, and it messes up my timetable and I don't like it because I have students in lots of different countries, and some countries do turn back an hour, some countries don't turn back their clocks an hour, and countries in the southern hemisphere go forward when we go backwards. Oh, it's a nightmare. So turn back can also mean return to a previous position or state. So you might say, I've gone too far to turn back now, meaning I've gone too far on my project to stop and go back to the beginning, or change something or try something different. So it's another way we use turn back, meaning return to a previous state. Now, if there's an invading army, your own army may be defending the border, and they may be able to turn the enemy back, to make them change direction, to repel them, to drive them away. Drive away would be another good phrasal verb here. So if you turn someone back, it often means that you repel them, perhaps at the border or something like that. And if you turn back, it could also mean the same as double back, meaning to retrace your steps. I think I mentioned double back in the phrasal verbs with back video. So if you want to know more phrasal verbs with back, try that video. Now, you can also turn about, turn around, turn round. The main meaning of this is simply turn round. Yeah, that's what it means. It means turn round. I turned round to face the whiteboard. Turn about is the old way of saying turn round. It's not really used anymore, so I don't recommend that you use that one. But if you turn around or turn round, they both mean simply that. But you can also use turn round like spin round, which would be like rotate. Yeah, the planets all spin round, they all turn round, and so do the moons and so do the stars. But you could also turn round a business, and if you said we spent years losing money and in the end we got a new boss and he turned everything round, it would mean that he suddenly changed the fortunes of the business so that things got much better. And it's normally used in the positive way of improving a business. But I suppose in some situations it might mean take something from good to bad. That could be possible too. But basically you're turning around, we're using it metaphorically here, that you're turning around the business. The business was going worse and worse and worse, profits were going down, and then they turned around the business and profits went up. Okay, if you turn someone away, that means that you don't allow them to enter your house. But you could also be turned away from a casino, or you could be turned away from a nightclub if they don't like the look of you. So it basically means not allow someone to enter a building. You turn someone away. But turn away could mean just turn your head away, look away, in other words, turn away. So it could mean that as well. Most of these phrasal verbs can be used literally. So you could turn the sheets back on a bed as well. Turn the sheets back, meaning just fold them back. So I suppose that's another meaning of turn back, fold back. Okay, if you turn something down, if you turn the TV down, you make it quieter, you decrease the volume. It would be the opposite of turn up, which can mean increase the volume. But you could also turn someone down, meaning refuse an offer. So someone might offer you a job, but you turn them down, you refuse their offer. Now, you turn in when it's time for bed. You might say, oh, it's so late, I'm going to turn in. And it means I'm going to go to bed. Okay, that's one meaning of turn in. You can also turn in documents, but this one is very rare. I don't recommend you use the rare ones because you might not use it in the right situation. But meaning hand in documents, turn in documents would mean hand in here. And also, if you turn someone in to the police, this means deliver someone to the police. If you turn someone in, it means you inform on them, you grasp them up, and yeah, they get arrested. So turn someone into the police. You can also turn someone over to the police, turn someone over to the authorities. And so it can mean turn in as well over here. This is what makes turn so complex. Turn someone in, it can mean give them, grasp them up, inform on them, and tell the authorities where they are so that the authorities can find them and arrest them. Now, we all remember the story when we were little of the prince who turned into a frog, or the frog who turned into a prince. I can't remember actually. But it means to transform into, to become. Okay, so turn into is very, very common. Please, you must know this one. Turn on can mean several different things. It could mean start a machine, turn on, turn off, switch on, switch off. It could mean suddenly attack a friend or ally. This is very similar to turn against. So I read a story recently, quite a sad story, about a dog which turned on its master. It turned against its master and it killed him. It was a very violent, aggressive dog. I think it was a bull terrier, and it suddenly turned on its master. Perhaps it had some kind of mental problem or strange disease, and it suddenly attacked. It set upon its master. It turned on its master. So in that sense, it would be similar to set upon, but set upon is just attack, really. If someone turns you on, they arouse you sexually. So that's another meaning of turn on, and it has its opposite in turn off, which can mean repulse or disgust you. Yeah? When something completely disgusts you, it's the opposite of excites you, of turns you on. And lastly, you could say everything turns on the decision that the chairman makes. And this would mean everything hinges on, everything depends on the decision he makes. That's very rare. I wouldn't use it that often if I were you, but I would be aware of it nonetheless. Okay, so turn off is the opposite of on. Turn off, it could be switch off, but it could also, you could also say, so I find that the smell of that person is such a turn off. So maybe they really stink, they reek of something, maybe they reek of cigarettes, and you think that cigarettes are a real turn off. They repulse you, they disgust you. If you turn something up, you make it louder, increase the volume. You could turn up your collar, meaning reposition it upwards, turn up your collar. Turn up is mainly used like show up. He turned up at 6 o'clock, he turned up at 8 o'clock, but you can even use turn out, like turn up and show up. So be aware of that. And lastly, you can say we searched and searched for ages, but nothing turned up. So it can mean find by searching. You can say we didn't turn up anything when we turned over the flat, meaning ransacked through the flat, rummaged through the flat. So turn up can mean find by searching as well as show up or turn up. Okay, turn to. We can say that iron turns to rust in the presence of oxygen. Meaning degenerate into something. You can also say that all living things turn to dust in the end. You understand here it's pretty similar to turn into, pretty similar in my opinion, but turn to, you can just use it for, I suppose, physical processes. This is mainly used for people. The prince turned into a frog, but this is more like iron turns to iron oxide in the presence of oxygen, and it means kind of like become, but it's for physical things, and it's normally a degeneration. It's not normally anything else. But you can also turn to your auntie at a difficult time, and it means you consult your auntie for advice. It's nearly always at a difficult time. Who do you turn to when you're upset? That kind of thing. Turn over, it can mean flip over, turn over the page, flip over the page. You can also turn over evidence to the authorities, meaning that you give them evidence which they need. Very similar to turn someone in, but you turn over evidence. You could turn over someone to the authorities as well, and that's why I mentioned it earlier, but you could also turn over evidence to the authorities. So it's another way. It's normally relinquish something to authority, so I ought to make that clear. You can also turn over meaning produce, but I think it's much more common to use turn out for produce than turn over. Normally turnover is generate or produce money via sales. So I don't think this one's worth remembering, although you might see it in some places. But yeah, turn over, you can say the company turned over £1 million last year, meaning the company generated £1 million via their sales. If you turn something over in your mind, you ruminate on it, meaning you think it over, you mull it over, you churn it over. There's a nice one. I like this phrasal verb, churn. Churn over, it means ruminate, think over, mull over. But it has another meaning, which we'll look at in a second, which is like turn out. But yeah, ruminate, churn something over in your head. Okay, lastly, if you turn over a flat, you ransack through the flat, you rummage through all of the things. So you're trying to find something and you turn the whole place over when you try to find it. It means that everything's a mess, like in this room at the moment, because you've been trying to find something. So last one now, last two, turn out. If you use it like this, it turned out that, you mean that it became apparent that, it ended up that. And that's a very common expression, it turned out that. But you can also say nobody turned out at the concert, meaning nobody turned up at the concert. And we even talk about the turnout in an election, for example. What was the election turnout? And it means how many people turned up at the ballot boxes and voted. So turnout is sometimes used like turn up and show up, but turn up and show up are much more common as verbs, and turn out is more common as a noun. So that's worth remembering. If you turn out the light, you put out the light. It's exactly the same as extinguish a light. And if you're a writer, you might turn out 3 novels every year, meaning produce or make 3 novels, create 3 novels. This is like churn out. Churn out usually means produce in abundance, maybe more than is necessary. And so turn out and churn out are very similar. And yeah, you can please use that churn out, because we do use it quite often, meaning just produce a lot of. Okay, if you turn someone out, then you eject them from your house, you throw them out, you kick them out. Very similar to turn someone away, very similar, but the only difference would be that they're already in your house when you turn them out. But if you turn them away, you turn them away at the door. You don't let them in, you just turn them away and tell them to go. You don't allow them to enter. But if you turn someone out, they're already inside and you eject them, you evict them. Okay, if you turn against someone, it's exactly the same as turn on someone when you attack someone you previously supported. You attack a friend or ally. So like the dog which turned against its master, it turned on its master. Not in the other meaning, of course, but in the meaning that it attacked its master, it set on its master. Okay, if you have any questions about those, I think I did those quite quickly, so please put the questions under the video, and as long as they're related slightly to the phrasal verb of turn, and they're not just somebody asking me to do their homework for them, which you may have noticed I never bother, then please put them under the video and I'll be delighted to answer them. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to speak to you all soon.